Once upon a time, in a village nestled deep within dense forests, there was a young girl named Araolua. With her striking white hair, pale skin, and piercing blue eyes, Araolua stood out from the other children in the village. She was albino, a rarity in this small community where conformity was the norm. From the moment she was born, her mother, Adama, knew that Araolua was a special child and did everything she could to protect her. But as Araolua grew older, she faced whispers, stares, and cruel teasing from her peers. They called her the ghost girl and cassava flower, making her the target of mockery and ridicule. Despite the pain this caused her, Araolua remained resilient, finding comfort in the natural beauty that surrounded her and the love of her family. As she grew older, the bullying only intensified. Other children became bolder in their harassment, and even some adults in the village looked at her with suspicion and disdain. Yet, Araolua refused to let their cruelty break her spirit. She held on to the hope that one day the people of Wura would accept her differences. One day, while Araolua was running errands at the market, a strange wind arose, blowing away the merchants' tents and goods. Everyone ran for shelter, and when the wind finally stopped, one of the merchants accused Araolua of being a witch sent to cause chaos and ruin their lives. The village women gathered to beat Araolua without mercy. News of the attack reached Araolua's mother, Adama, who ran to the market crying, "Please, leave my daughter alone." Araolua lay on the ground, crying in pain, as her mother carried her home. Through her tears, Araolua looked at the market vendors and said, "You will reap the seeds you have sown, and you will eat from them until the end." Adama brought Araolua home and tended to her bruises. "I'm so sorry, my child. God will avenge us," she said through her tears. Araolua slept that night with pain all over her body, but even more so in her heart for what she had to endure, something she couldn't control or change. But fate had other plans for Araolua and the people of Wura. One night, a mysterious wind blew through the village. It sounded like a mixture of children's laughter and monstrous cackling, frightening the entire village, but it ended with a gentle rain that made everyone forget what had happened. The next morning, all the women of childbearing age in the village suddenly found themselves pregnant at the same time. It was a phenomenon that sent shockwaves through the close-knit community, leaving them bewildered and confused. The only ones unaffected were Araolua and her mother. The villagers noticed that Araolua and Adama were the only ones not pregnant during the supernatural events. "I knew Araolua was a witch," said one of the village women, but before she could finish her statement, she dropped to her knees, screaming in pain. "My stomach! Oh, Elara, please!" she cried. Araolua rushed to help the woman, and the pain subsided. This made the villagers fear Araolua even more. As the months passed, the women's bellies swelled with the promise of new life, and anticipation filled the air. The villagers speculated about the cause of the massive pregnancies, but no one could offer a satisfying explanation. No one dared to accuse Araolua anymore, as they now feared her. All they could do was wait and wonder what the future held. Finally, the day arrived when the women of Wura went into labour. It was a day filled with excitement and apprehension as the village midwife, old Mabel, rushed from house to house, helping the expectant mothers. One by one, the babies were born, and to everyone's surprise, each child shared Araolua's distinctive traits: pale skin, white hair, and bright blue eyes. The villagers stared in disbelief as they saw the newborn albinos in their mother's arms. Amid the chaos, Araolua stood on the outskirts of the village square, smiling as all the women ran around screaming, "We've all been cursed by Araolua." For the first time in her life, Araolua felt a sense of belonging, as if the universe had conspired to show the people of Wura that being different was not something to be feared or ridiculed, but something to be celebrated. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the albino children grew up to be mischievous and unruly, even under the watchful eyes of their families and neighbours. The village, once divided, was now even more fractured. The albino children caused trouble in the village, and no one seemed able to control them. The villagers took this matter to the village's high priest, who made a discovery and received a message. "The gift you scorned will eventually become a curse that you will have to heal," he said. "Your village was blessed with a precious jewel, and you chose to despise it with cruelty. Now, the gods have given you what you truly deserve." The women of the village realized that they had wronged Araolua and rushed to her, begging for forgiveness. They all went to Araolua's house, praying that the young girl would pardon them. "Tell us what you want, and we will do it for you," they pleaded. Araolua came out, anxious and surprised by their change of heart. Seeing all the village women begging outside her home, Araolua said, "I never wanted anything other than to be treated with love and acceptance, just like everyone else. I wasn't, especially when I was beaten in the market square because of the wind that blew all on its own. I just want to be loved. I believe that will solve your problems with your children." The women of the village, filled with remorse and understanding, apologized to Araolua and returned home, knowing they needed to love their children despite their behavior. However, despite all their efforts, the albino children remained violent and mischievous. Araolua noticed this and decided to create a class to teach the children who shared her characteristics how to cope in a world that viewed them differently. She encouraged them to embrace their differences and appreciate those who showed them love. Although the children were often uncontrollable, they listened to Araolua with humble hearts, and soon the village began to see changes in the albino children. Araolua became a beloved figure in Wura, respected for her strength and resilience in the face of adversity. She found friendship and acceptance among her peers, who now saw her as a symbol of hope and inspiration. But as the children grew, they faced their own challenges. Despite the newfound acceptance from their families and the villagers, they still encountered prejudice and discrimination from the outside world. Travelers passing through would whisper and point at the albino children, and rumors spread like wildfire about their supposed supernatural abilities. Despite all this, Araolua stood firm in her belief that love and acceptance would always triumph over fear and ignorance. She taught the other children to embrace their uniqueness and to never be ashamed of who they were. As they grew older, they carried her lessons with them, spreading love and acceptance wherever they went. Years passed, and the children of Wura grew up to become strong and confident individuals, each forging their own path in life. Some chose to stay in the village and continue the traditions of their ancestors, while others ventured out into the world, eager to explore new horizons and make their mark. But no matter where life took them, they always remembered their childhood in Wura, where they had learned that being different was not a curse but a blessing, and that true strength lay in accepting oneself, flaws and all. As for Araolua, she watched with pride as the children she had helped to raise went out into the world, knowing that she had played a small role in shaping their destinies. She may have been bullied and ostracized as a child, but in the end, she had become a beacon of hope and inspiration for an entire village, and for that, she would always be grateful. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the video with your friends. See you next time.